Hi, I'm Eric Lee, and in this episode of my Business Tips for Designer series, I'll be going through the different business legal structures out there for designers starting up their business. Let's get to it. Are you a designer that's been thinking about going on your own, but do not have the foggiest idea of how to start? While my Designers Business Academy has many online courses that will answer all your questions from starting up to getting your first project and billing for your projects. You can check it out here. This episode will cover a topic that I get into in my online course curriculum, and that is all the different legal corporate structures available for anyone starting up. There are generally four main types of legal business structures out there. Let's dive into the first one, sole proprietorship. A sole proprietorship is a business structure that is owned and operated by one individual. There is no legal distinction between the owner and the business, and this is probably the biggest drawback. It doesn't provide any legal liability protection between you and the activities of your business. However, it is the simplest type of structure, so it's probably the most common type for startups. This legal structure is perfect for those who don't plan to grow beyond a single person operation with an annual revenue equivalent to a regular person's salary. Here's the advantages of this structure. One, it's a simple legal structure. This is very simple, where you are the only person tied to the business entity. Sometimes you can have your spouse have joint ownership, but that's as much as you can do with shareholders. There are no secretaries or directors like a corporation, so it's very easy to understand for those that are just getting into the business. Two, low legal fees to set up. Because of this simple structure, it's relatively simple to set up, and this is a good thing in terms of legal fees, especially important for startups that don't have a lot of capital. Three, low legal annual maintenance costs. Legal fees don't just happen at the setup. There are legal costs to maintaining the company on an annual basis. Because of the simple structure of a self-proprietorship, there's always a little less money to maintain the legal books for this type of structure. Four, possible to hire employees. Although it's a single-person business entity, you're still able to hire employees. But typically, if you are starting to see this kind of growth in your business, then I recommend to switch to either a corporation or LLC because of the legal liability. Also, by the time you are needing to hire help, you're typically making more than one person's salary. So then your tax situation is typically more advantageous as a corporation or LLC. Okay, so here are the disadvantages. One, high legal liability. As a self-proprietorship, there is no separation from your business and you personally. This means that if someone is suing you because of something that happened in your business, then your personal assets could be part of that lawsuit. This is the biggest negative of the structure and the main reason why people move away from it once their business grows and they're exposed to more risk. Two, no possibility for investors. Because there is no way to have shareholders, it's almost impossible to get any investors to invest in your company. So if you plan to be bringing more capital for your company to grow it, for instance, then this is not the right structure for you. Three, low tax advantage. A self-proprietor's tax is basically whatever your personal tax rate is. So it typically is higher than a corporation and does not have too many flexibility for any creative tax saving strategies. This is why when I said if you're starting to hire someone or make more money than one person's annual salary, then you should really consider incorporating your business instead. And when is exactly the best time to do that? This depends on your personal tax situation. So I would talk to your tax accountant for the best advice. Okay, the second type of structure is a general partnership. A partnership is very much like a sole proprietorship, but allows two or more people to legally be tied together for a business. Everything else about it is the same as self-proprietorship. So this structure would be ideal if you are starting up a business with two or more people and don't plan to grow the revenue too large. Here's the advantages to this type. One, simple legal structure and legal costs. The same advantages of a sole proprietorship is here in a general partnership, like the simple structure and the low legal setup. Two, simple corporate tax structures. The tax structure of a partnership is fairly simple because really it all gets passed down to partners anyways. So whatever the personal tax situation is for each individual partner is what they will pay for the income from that business. Okay, here are the disadvantages. One, high legal liability. The same major negative found in a self-proprietorship is also found here in a general partnership. The legal liability exposure of the business is simply passed on down to partners. So if there are any potential risks from the operations of business, then it's best to look into a corporation or LLC. 2. Partnership conflicts. This is a negative that often comes up with any partnership. Because you're not the sole person in control, you will have to learn to work with someone else. So if you don't see eye to eye on your values and your business philosophies, then this could lead to friction on how you want to do things. You want to make sure that you have a solid partnership agreement in place that covers all possible situations, and both of you are going into the business fully understanding all the terms and conditions of that partnership. A third type of structure is the corporation. A corporation is the most complex business structure of the 4 types that I'm going to talk about here, but it also offers the most legal protection. Think of a corporation like a separate entity, completely distinct from their shareholders. A corporation structure is recommended if you have multiple staff and are making more revenue than you or your spouse combined. Here are the advantages to a corporate structure. 1. Legal liability protection. Because corporations are separate from their shareholders, this means that you, as a shareholder, is protected from any legal liabilities that can stem from the operations in your business. This is a very big advantage and why many people choose to have this type of structure for their design business. 2. More tax savings. Depending which province or state you're in, corporations typically pay less tax than an individual. It also has more options for creative tax strategies and tax sheltering, and this is why I said once you start making more money than one person's salary, you will want to start considering incorporating your business. 3. Allows for investors. Because the corporation can issue shares, it also allows for investors to invest in your business. In exchange for money that they invest, you can sell them shares in your business. All right, here are the disadvantages to a corporate structure. 1. Possibility of double taxation. There is a chance of being taxed twice on the business income because the business gets taxed on the corporate level, and if you pay yourself a salary, then you get taxed again for that money at your personal level. There are ways around this, like issuing dividends, but this is a very case-specific and state and province-specific, so it's best to consult your tax accountant on this. 2. Higher tax and accounting fees. Because of the more complex structures, you will be incurring higher tax and accounting fees to get it set up. Then on an annual basis, the cost to maintain the books and legal records are also higher. Now for both of these disadvantages, there's usually a break point where people decide that the tax savings of a corporation is worth it to offset the higher legal and accounting fees. Each individual is different, so it's best to consult your tax lawyer and your accountant about your situation. Okay, the 4th type of company structure out there is a limited liability company, also known as LLC. An LLC is basically a hybrid between a self-proprietorship, a partnership, and a corporation. It offers the legal protection of a corporation and is more simple and flexible like a sole proprietorship and a partnership. I should mention that LLCs are common in the US and other parts of the world, but it's not possible to set one up in Canada. Here are the advantages to a LLC structure. 1. Legal liability protection. Just like a corporation, LLCs provide you the legal shield for your personal assets, and this is huge. 2. Flexible income split. The income and losses from the LLC can be passed on to the members and split at whatever proportion you want. This makes it very flexible for income splitting. 3. Less paperwork. There is less paperwork to set up and maintain an LLC than a corporation, so this would mean less legal fees. Okay, here are the disadvantages to an LLC structure. 1. Additional federal taxes. Oftentimes, there may be additional federal taxes at the state level. Best to consult your accountant for this. 2. Profit is taxable income even if you don't distribute it. Each member's share of profits represents a taxable income, even if the profit wasn't distributed yet. So this is different than a corporation. So there you have it. Legal business structures could be confusing, but I hope this episode helps to simplify things for you so that you can decide which one is right for you. Most single-person design businesses start out with a sole proprietorship and then incorporate their businesses when they start to grow. When specifically is a good time to do this is very case-specific, so it's best to consult your lawyer and accountant on this. If you have additional questions about your design business, then please join my Facebook group, Designers Business Community, where you can have more conversations with other design business owners. I hope you enjoyed this content, and please pass it on to other design colleagues if you did. I'm Eric Lee, and I can turbocharge your success.